Assalamu alaikum. You're watching Views and News, and I'm Faisal Rehman live from our Islamabad studios. Today we'll be talking about the US withdrawal from Afghanistan, a couple of developments in this regard also. And now we've also learned that USS Ronald Reagan, that is stationed in Japan, will be in fact supporting the withdrawal procedure, and that will be there in the Indian Ocean in around the Middle Eastern region for about 4 months, and they will also support that. Other than that, when it comes to the use of bases, the Taliban, they have very categorically in fact said that all those countries neighbouring Afghanistan should not provide bases for the Americans to in fact do their or conduct their operations inside Afghanistan after the pullout. According to certain other very important sources, it has also been revealed that around 25% of the US troops they have already vacated, and most likely by the end of July, most of the withdrawal will be done, will take place. So today the major areas of discussion in our program would be first about a statement released by the Foreign Minister of Pakistan, Shah Mahmood Qureshi Saab. He says that let this House and Pakistani nation be a witness to my testimony that under Prime Minister Imran Khan, there will be no American base built on Pakistani soil. Forget about the past. Simple statement. I think that will clarify all the confusions. Shah Saab further added that the government of Pakistan has categorically said that we will not allow kinetic use of drones, nor are we interested in the surveillance of your drones. That's a very clear-cut policy of this government. The John F. Kirby, the Pentagon press secretary, states that the president has been very clear that our troops accomplished the mission for which they were sent to Afghanistan. That was to prevent the country from being used as a safe haven for terrorist attacks on our homeland. And there hasn't been any other attack on the homeland emanating from Afghanistan since 9/11. So the president believes the mission has been completed. Furthermore, US Central Command announced on Tuesday that they estimate that the US withdrawal from Afghanistan to be somewhere between 16 and 25% complete. As I earlier mentioned, that around 25%, there are various reports, but at least it has started. And again, another very important fact is that the Taliban warned Afghanistan's neighbors against allowing the US to operate military bases on their soil. The insurgents insisting they would thwart such a historic mistake. So, very clear-cut stance from Pakistan in this regard. So, today, these are the major areas of discussion in our program. And to talk about that, let me introduce you to our panelists. We have on Skype with us Abid Latif Sindhu Saab, senior analyst, senior columnist. Thank you so much, Sindhu Saab, for your time, sir.
Thank you.
And we also have with us Hamid Khan Saab, who's a senior journalist. Thank you so much, Hamid Saab, for your time as well. And a little while, we'll also be joined in by Umar Khan Ali Sherzai Saab, the former ambassador to Afghanistan. He'll be joining us in a little while. But let me put this first question to you, Sindhu Saab. Let's start off from you. I think, sir, this particular statement coming from the Foreign Minister, Shah Mahmood Qureshi Saab, I think it has cleared a lot of confusion regarding the issue of giving bases to the Americans post-withdrawal. Your take on that particular statement, sir?
Yeah, actually, I think that once we take the issue of Afghanistan, the Biden government is very clear on the issue. Since last 100 days, Mr. Biden, the president of USA, has issued over 42 directives in which he has almost reoriented, he has steered away his policies or given a clear direction from that of the Trump. But one thing is the constant, and that is the Afghanistan policy, that they are going to engage Afghanistan, and they are also going to engage Afghanistan in according to a new Afghanistan plan in which they will withdraw from Afghanistan, but they will keep their influence through their satellite state. And as far as the bases are concerned, that that our foreign minister has categorically said and asserted that we are not going to provide any base to any external power to operate inside Afghanistan. Probably the Americans, they are asking for the bases from Tajikistan, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, and plus they are going, according to their now made Afghanistan plan, they are going to operate through drones from these countries, through their special forces, through CIA, and they also have a maritime option, as you have already in your intro has said that an American warship is already moved towards the Indian Ocean. So actually, Americans, they have, I think, that they have come to their hour of reckoning of the situation, and they have reached up in their calculations that they cannot win their longest war by just using and adopting the kinetic ways. Every war is won and fought with three vectors. One is the technology, the other is the geography, and the third one is the tactics. And they have learned a lesson in a bitter way, in a hard way, that for all these 21, 22 years, the Afghan Talibans were superior in terms of the tactics and the use of geography. Although they could never compete Americans in technology, but mere technology could not made them win the war. So they have realized it. That is the reason that now they are changing their pattern of engagement in Afghanistan.
Now, that is a very important point, but let me also introduce you to our guest in the studio, Shazia Saab. Thank you so much, sir, for your time as well. So earlier we were having a word, we just started the program and talking about the US withdrawal. Now, Shazia Saab, one important area, and that is about the statement from the Afghan Taliban that they will not let any neighboring country build the US bases there so that they can operate from there. Shah Mahmood Qureshi Sahab was very categorical. He said, no, the mistakes have been made in the past, no more. But sir, what other options do you think when it comes to these logistics via land route or air route, which the Americans have at the moment? Because the Russians' pressure would be on all these Central Asian states not to let the Americans have any base there. The other option is Pakistan. Obviously, Iran is out of question. So what sort of options do you think the Americans have, or do you believe that this could be the bone of contention in the future, sir, between Pakistan and the United States of America?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I think at the moment the Americans have very limited options. As you rightly pointed out that Russians would exert full influence on the neighboring states not to allow any kind of airports or bases to the Americans to squeeze Taliban. That of course is there, and the Russian influence of course cannot be ruled out in the Central Asian countries because they speak Russian and they have been with the Russia for such a long time.
So the influence is there.
They have linguistic and religious and lots of other. Pakistan, I think, should not repeat the mistakes of the past of providing bases to the Americans. Why the Americans should use the Pakistan soil and bring us again into the forefront of the fight, against the Taliban? We have had enough, I think the country which suffered most because of all the American intervention in Afghanistan is Pakistan.
Absolutely.
So we should be wise enough not to repeat the mistakes of the past, not to provide any kind of logistic or any other support to the Americans to intervene in Afghanistan in any manner. Of course, the Americans, as some of our friends were saying, that they have the technology, they have power. If they want, they can use India. India is their greatest ally. Why?
And they have a contract also, sir. They have a written agreement that they can use the bases of each other.
Each other.
Yes.
So they should use. Why they should compel us to give our bases to the Americans? They have their ally, and they have always been supporting India against Pakistan. So it is a time that India should come to their rescue and support
And the question is, do
Americans.
you believe the Indians will do that?
Well, Indians would not do it.
That's
That
the
is
point.
what I am saying. It is a time for the Americans to test their friendship with the Indians that have sincere the Indians or to the Americans. If they are sincere and their friendship is so strong, then ethically the Indians should support the Americans. If they are not supporting, that means that Indians are not good friends at all. They are not trustworthy. Americans should understand it, and whatever Pakistan has been doing for the America by bringing Taliban into the table, you know, with the Americans.
Sir, we have done whatever we could have done, and honestly
We
speaking,
have done
with a
more
very
than
good, you know, a state of mind that at the end of the day we want peace in Afghanistan, because peace in Afghanistan means peace in the entire region, prosperity in the entire region, and that's how nations grow. But unfortunately, for the last 20 years, but rather I would say for the last 40 years, Afghanistan was a country in a state of war. It still is. It could be again in a warlike situation, a civil warlike situation, sir, because at the end of the day, it's all about grabbing the power. So we'll definitely talk about that. But let me also engage you, Janab Hamid Saab. The point is now that there are two different perspectives. One is that the agreement that we signed with the Americans in 2001 is pretty open-ended. And the second part is that it's reviewed after every 10 years. Last time when it was reviewed, it was in 2011, and I think 2021 is another year. And then you need to close the chapter, close the book. But over here, sir, it seems that at the end of the day, the Americans really expect Pakistan to again do more, where if you take it to the parliament, they would definitely refuse it. The foreign minister was very categorical in that regard, that nothing of that sort is going to happen. So, sir, do you believe that this could be the beginning of that particular splitting away aspect from the Western world and taking a complete shift towards the East? Or do you think, sir, there could be something in between where Pakistan can balance things out?
I mean, you pointed out very rightly that Pakistan did whatever they could do in 2002, and Pakistan have paid a lot of price, up 70,000 lives, what Pakistan went into war, which was not our war, which was war by American imposed to Afghanistan. Pakistan had nothing to do with it. Now, I mean, what came out just few days ago in relation to this report that Pakistan is going to give, air base to the Americans, according to my information and resources, it was a very big, planned propaganda, because they wanted to. It is kind of a feeler, and it was kind of a. They wanted to check it. What will be Pakistan's response? And I would say that the response from foreign minister and response from government of Pakistan was very prompt enough. Not only that, and that was on the very right platform, using the legislative National Assembly, where we have all our representatives of the country, and we have clearly given the message to Americans that this time there is no way that Pakistan will allow USA to use its air base or space. The reason is that, Mr. Ambassador said rightly, that Pakistan has suffered enough badly in last many years due to this conflict. And now, if you look into the situation, yes, you're right that, their do more is never ending. But now this is the time when America has to realize, and the world have seen the dynamics in the region, the power dynamics have changed. They are almost changed, and Pakistan is not depending on United States anymore like it was before. Yes, Pakistan don't want to lose the friendship with our relations with America being, our friend. But we cannot risk our national security. We cannot risk our, friendship with China. On top of it, using the Sea of Japan area, it means that America has given a sign that they are going to use the Quad now. They are going to use Australia, India, and Japan and American ally against China. So when the situation is that, why would Pakistan allow to be used against China using the space of Pakistan, because any bases in Pakistan will not only be monitoring Afghanistan or will not only be used for Afghanistan.
Definitely. They'll
That's
be
the
keeping a
main
check on the
concern.
Russians, Chinese, Iranians, yes?
Yes, that will be a kind of a monitoring, and Pakistan-China relations cannot afford it. The projects which are going into the region, they cannot afford it. Pakistan is the one who is trying to bring Afghanistan into those big projects like CPAC and OBOR and other projects. Pakistan is the one which is trying to make the world realize that there is only one way in this region, that is to attain and obtain the object of peace in Afghanistan. And if as the Afghanistan, Taliban has said that if the neighbors would facilitate in any way to Americans, it will carry on the war, and the war will come into Pakistan's soil as well, which Pakistan cannot afford. We have obtained and achieved the peace with giving 80,000 lives and billions of dollars of loss economically. And now, when Pakistan is economically progressing, Pakistan's peaceful, everything is quite peacefully. Pakistan, only thing is, America needs to understand that this is the time when they have to stop using and abusing Pakistan soil. I mean, I would like to remind you when Hillary Clinton said in the American Congress that we are the one at the guilty part, that we used Pakistan and we left it as it is, and then Pakistan suffered because of American behavior, the way they left us after
Sir,
the
the
war.
same question is, Hamid Saab, raised again, and they say that the American forces are leaving in haste, in a hurry, and that could again lead to a situation, the one which we experienced before in the past.
Exactly. If you look into the situation, I mean, the way the Ashraf Ghani is panicking inside the Afghanistan, and he's feeling so insecure for his future. And then they are talking about the many power plays in the country. Yes, it is a hasty, exit for USA, and they are again not very well planned. But the thing is, Pakistan has facilitated best possible in that regard as well, whether it is the talks between Afghan Taliban and Americans, whether it is Doha talks, whether it is Islamabad or Kabul talks. Yes, there is again a lack of planning, and there is one more thing. It shows the tiredness from the American army and Pentagon of the 20 years longest war outside, like in this region from America. It's the longest war in the history of America. And now the things have changed. Pakistan and China have made sure in the world that this, Pakistan and China friendship and business alliance will go on for future. Pakistan is not going to listen to America, where its security and its integrity and its economical progress is at risk. Pakistan should not listen as well. And I would say that, it is rightly said by the foreign minister that, with current government, they should not expect it, because I would like to remind you that Prime Minister Imran Khan is the one who had many protests against drone attacks in 2010, 2011.
He has always said these were counterproductive, if you remember.
Exactly. And Imran Khan is the one who was against any kind of facilitating America within Pakistan, because that was the point where Prime Minister Imran Khan had great differences with Pervez Musharraf, because he was so against of Pakistan policy to facilitating America within Pakistan. And how would Americans expect from Prime Minister Imran Khan his own, not only his government will be at stake, it's Pakistan's security will be at stake. And last thing is, if you look into the region, why would China allow any further influence of America or India? And while, India, I would, apologetically, I may differ with the Mr. Ambassador. India will be, may be able or may be willing to give its air bases to America again. It will be not because of Afghanistan. Again, it will be the purpose to pressurize the China within the region. That could be the only reasson that India
not only pressurize China, but also pressurize Pakistan. But again, that is the point. If India does it, that could lead to another problem for them even in Kashmir.
Exactly. Now the thing is, Exactly. That is has been talked about it, that America will try to take any air base in nearby in Jammu or Kashmir region, so that there will be within reach. China will be within reach for them, but China would not allow that. I'll tell you now, the dynamics in the region has changed. America is not the it's not the one world order anymore. It's not like that. China will resist against any kind of effort by America to have any kind of bases in Jammu or Kashmir, even in India, anywhere. Yes, India will try to take advantage of the situation, and
They're
India is
definitely trying to
trying to take
capitalize on each and every,
advantage
yes.
by exploiting its proxies in Afghanistan as well. You have seen in last few days.
Absolutely. Now, there was a report today that TTP commander, 3 others terrorists, they were killed in
Yes.
Quetta. This was reported by
Yes.
CTD. Now,
That is
Abid
all.
Saab,
That
looking
is all
at the
Indian
fallout factor,
proxies.
once the Americans, they vacate the country, they leave, but definitely they would not like to have no influence in the region. This is where they really want to have their presence in one way or the other. You have Iran on one side, you have Russia in the north, you have China in the east, you have Pakistan in the south. So that makes a lot of sense. But over here, sir, when we talk about, the civil war-like situation, which seems to be inevitable in one way or the other in the future in Afghanistan, that could create a lot of problems for Pakistan, in fact. And that is what we should be more concerned about, because this is what we have witnessed earlier in 2006-7, that nobody was safe, soft targets, hard targets, all sorts of terrorist activities were being conducted, a lot of money was being spent, and this time maybe with a lot of support from the other side along with the Indians could be another problem for us, another challenge again.
Exactly. Yeah. Shall I
Sindhu Saab.
respond to it, Faisal?
Yeah, Sindhu Saab, please.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
Actually,
of course.
So if I'll just take a point
Yes.
from here, then I'll come back to you. Sindhu Saab, please.
yes. First of all, we have to ascertain that whether it is a whatever was going on in Afghanistan for last 22 years, whatever is going to happen right after this, these two things are already linked. First, we have to ascertain that whether it was a non-state war, was it a interstate war, it was an intrastate war, or an extra-state war. First, we have to define what type of war it was being waged for last 21, 22 years. That will ascertain that how the master or the future plan of Afghanistan will shape itself. And I will, with due respect, I will try to differ with the Ambassador Sahib that actually, as far as the Indian are concerned, and providing the bases to the Afghanistan, that might not be the possibility. But in my own assumption, and I have the grounds to assume that recently in Arctic area where the foreign minister of Russia and USA, Mr. Belkin, has met, they have already Americans have already requested the Russians to, give their sway and give their assertion to the fact that they are asking for the military bases with the military presence in the Central Asian states so that they can monitor the Afghanistan from there. Actually, Afghanistan is a very interesting and very strange tapestry of different regions. It has divided into the northern Afghanistan, the central Afghanistan, which is the Pashtun base, and then the Kabul. And then there is a north to north, which is also linked to the Central Asian states, where the Russian interest has come. And then, as far as the new economic activities, as Hamid Saab has said, that the CPEC and everything, that China is very much interested into that. We already know that China is the oldest empire and also the newest empire of this century. So we cannot rule out this equation in this, the coming settlement or the coming phase of the Afghanistan, that how it unfolds. And the other thing is that Americans, it has already been told that the triple canopy security contractor, which is actually the successor of the Blackwater and all that, they have already been told to hire people to occupy the bases which Americans there leaving. So America has already fought this war with the contractors as far as the logistics and the security is concerned. On the one side, Taliban called it, and the people who manifested the war, the way the Taliban was waging the war, they called it the Toyota War. And from the American side, it was a contractors war. And so the contractors are still there. So American will not like and would not want that their influence tapered in any way. They are actually changing the schemes and the mode of engagement. And now I think in the future the mode of engagement will be in economic terms, as we know that 21st century is more precisely the century of minerals, and we know that most of the minerals and the largest deposits are in this region, particularly in Afghanistan. So the war is changing, the interest of the global partners are changing, the interest of Russia, the China, the USA, they are changing, and that's how that is being manifested through these new plans which are being altered out, which are being made and which are being executed through the regional player on one hand and through also the economic compulsions of the international players. And this will bring us, I think, to a point where we will have a positive black swan event in Afghanistan, in which, in my calculations, within few years, all these players will accept India, because India has, in its animosity towards Pakistan, will try to, sort of demean this event. Accept India, all the regional players will co-join each other for the economic progress of Afghanistan, which is, right now a very strange phenomena is going on. As far as you see the Kabul, the book clubs of Kabul are changing the youngsters of Afghanistan. They are much educated. They are reading Shakespeare. They are reading the international theories. They are reading.
Sadhu Saab, I totally agree with you. But honestly speaking, most of my friends, the journalists who've been there, and I'll put this same point to Ambassador Saab also, that the narrative in Afghanistan has changed. The hatred has been fueled so much against Pakistan that you talk to anyone and they would say that the total responsibility of whatever has happened in Afghanistan lies on Pakistan. So that is another aspect we need to look into, because everything is not not that great, not that hunky-dory, sir. If you allow me, Sadhu Saab, I'll just take this point too. Ambassador, you have served there. Honestly speaking, sir, with the time, a lot of perceptions have changed, and it's a reality. We always call that a neighbor, a Muslim brother, so and so forth. But when it comes to the Afghan, sir, if you remember, they just said, you are just our neighbors, no more brothers. Very categorical statement from the top notch. How do you see that, sir?
Well, whatever you said is absolutely correct. This is the normal feeling in Afghanistan, because they feel that if Pakistan had not allowed the Americans to take over their country, perhaps the situation would have been altogether different. Well, there is a little bit of truth also in this. We should not have allowed the Americans. We should not have given them the land routes and air routes. Of course, we have made mistakes, but we always learn from mistakes. I think it is high time that Pakistan should now start a fresh kind of approach with regard to our relations in Afghanistan.
With whom?
Well, of course, whoever rules Kabul, you have to engage them.
Now,
Whether
sir,
it is
currently,
Taliban.
sir, Kabul is in control of the government, but nobody believes in the writ of that government. You talk about, let's suppose...
That is not, it is not, frankly speaking, the Afghan government. It is
a puppet
the
government.
American imposed
Installed,
government.
I totally agree.
So it is not a government. The government would be the one which is elected by the Afghan people.
Do you think, sir, the Taliban would have that kind of a support through elections? Because a lot of people, a lot of analysts, they doubt that.
Well,
maybe they have a
speaking,
street presence. They have a lot of power over there. But when it comes to voting,
Well, frankly speaking, even if you see the Ashraf Ghani's voting, it was not more than 4%.
was a joke.
It was
It was a joke.
So the Taliban would be much better, at least, than Ashraf Ghani. Whoever says that, you know, the Afghans, if you ask, you know, the poor Afghan in the street, that how was your condition when the Taliban were there, they would say they were very good. There was peace in Afghanistan. There was no problem. The only thing that, you know, that they had imposed these restrictions of wearing clad and, you know, keeping beards and things like that.
Only 3 countries recognized the government of the Taliban.
Yes.
Pakistan, UAE and Saudi
Saudi
Arabia,
Arabia,
out
yes.
of the whole world, sir.
Yes, it was because of the American pressure. Americans didn't want that kind of government in Afghanistan, because they think if still they have the feeling that if that kind of system is replicated in these countries will certainly progress, and there will be no place for the Americans in these countries. So they are damn scared of the system that the Taliban had brought, and they fear that it will get replicated in the other countries. So it was because of the American pressure that other countries, of course, European Union and the other Middle Eastern countries or the Asian countries, they had not recognized that government because of the American pressure. If Americans had recognized, the whole world would have recognized.
Well, Hamas had a legitimate government, they never recognized. Mursi had a legitimate government, it was toppled.
The fact of the matter is that we should also change our attitude towards Afghanistan. We should revisit, you know, our relations with Afghanistan, and it is media which plays the most important role. You know, we should appoint people there to try to change the attitude of the Afghan.
So when we talk about the solutions, the remedies, where do we stand at the moment, sir, and what needs to be done in the coming, or let's put it this way, in the year 2021?
I think, first of all, we should not in any way interfere in the Afghan politics. Let the people of Afghanistan decide whom they want. If they want Taliban, let them elect a Taliban leader. If they want Ashraf Ghani to remain president, let Ashraf Ghani be the president. The first thing that we should stop interfering in any way in Afghan matters. Secondly, we must speed up our information media and people-to-people contact to inform the people of Afghanistan that Pakistanis are your brothers, and it is the only country which has always helped you out in your difficulties, and you can progress only if you have good relations with Pakistan. You know, we have to realize
Trade
the Afghan.
relations, economic relations, and so much more.
That is what, you know, if you have a real people-to-people contact, and then you have a good information media to inform the Afghans, because at present in Afghanistan it is only the Indian-based
Indian and Iranians.
Iranians.
Both.
So we have, frankly speaking, not gone inside, you know, their media. So we should try to influence the Afghans through media and establish a contact in their media houses. And simultaneously, we should also tell the Americans that, you know, we had enough, you know, by allowing you our land routes and air routes.
Look at the loss that it's been.
We have lost trillions of dollars. Besides the human losses, more than 70, 80,000 people.
And the time, sir, 20 years.
20 years. So we have suffered a lot, and we can't afford any more, these
Absolutely, sir.
material.
So we have to pursue a very straightforward line, sir.
Absolutely.
No grey areas, I guess.
No.
Sir, since we're running out of time, so let me put the same question to Sindhu Saab and later to Hamid Saab. Sindhu Saab, your take on the same point, sir.
Yeah, actually, now we are living in a post-Westphalian era in which the globalization has taken its roots. And the only one country where no international relation theory applies is Afghanistan. Why it is so? We have never worked on this. We have never talked on this. And with due apology to Ambassador Saab, we don't interfere in the classical sense in Afghanistan's affair. Actually, once the Afghan government in Kabul could not reach to the Taliban, and they don't have any, good offices with them, they request Pakistan to use its influence because of the Pashtun factor. And why the Pashtun factor is there? Because between Pakistan and Afghanistan, we have a border and we have a frontier. The only country with which we have both the things. It is centuries old. The villages are divided. So before, ascertaining that what is the solution of Afghanistan, and, how much more people-to-people contact we want. Every Afghani's kitchen is having 90% food item grocery from Pakistan. The wheat goes from here. The shoes, the shoe with which the Taliban have fought the war for 21 years, that was service, cheetah shoe. And, everything, you name a thing, and that is Pakistani, which is being, used in Afghanistan. And still, they hate us. That speaks that we are not fundamentally understanding this war. We are not fundamentally understanding the concept that we have housed 3 million Afghans for 20 years. They used to study with us in the colleges and schools of Islamabad and Pindi, and every one of us knows that. And still, once, all of a sudden, they hate us. This is actually the Bollywood factor. This Bollywood factor by which
the Bollywood
perception
factor needs to be diluted initially and then removed, because
yeah,
the way
it has
they
to
have
be
maligned
diluted,
Pakistan,
and
sir,
then it has to be
and
removed after
unfortunately,
understanding
youth,
the
they
correlations
believe
of war.
Sandhu Saab, totally out of time, sir. Let me take the same quick point from you also, sir. Hamid Saab.
Yeah, Faisal, only thing is absolutely right that Pakistan needs to take its narrative within the Afghan public, and Pakistan needs to explain the Afghanis that Pakistan has done much more than its own capacity, beyond our own limits. Pakistan has always supported the people of Afghanistan. Pakistan has not supported any one factor. Pakistan supported the people of Pakistan. Pakistan hosted millions of refugees. And whether there was President Hamid Karzai or others, they were all studied and everything from Pakistan. So Pakistan needs to have a proper propaganda fight against the fifth generation war by Indian media and Indian proxies within Afghanistan. That is the only way Pakistan can try to win the hearts of the Afghanis again. Unfortunately, for the last 20 years, India has put so much poisons in the mind of Afghanis against Pakistan that it will take
But sir, the thing
another
is that
decade.
exactly, I totally agree with you,
Yes.
sir, but it
It will
really
take
needs a
another
very
decade
comprehensive
to
homework,
remove it.
and we really need to work hard on it. And things will change, provided if the direction is right. But anyway, Hamid Saab, thank you so much. Sindhu Saab, was a pleasure having you. Ambassador Saab, thank you so much for your presence as well, sir. And that's all we have for this, Saab. I'll see you again. Till then, you take good care. Khuda Hafiz.